Welcome to the Ascend Growth AI podcast, where we mix smart growth moves with a little AI magic. I'm Teresa. Let's dive in. Today's guest is Jeremy Morgan, Group President at Horsepower Brands, a rapidly growing portfolio of home service franchise brands. With a career impacting over 600 franchisees, Jeremy brings a coach's heart and a growth minded leadership style to building emerging brands like Bumblebee Blinds and Groovy Hughes Painting. So, Jeremy, welcome today.
Oh, thanks, Teresa. Thank you for having me and look forward to our chat.
Me too. Let's have you start by walking us through your background and your journey.
Oh, wow. Well, you're gonna make me feel old here. I got started in the franchising world and home services world back in 1996 while a student at the University of Nebraska, and that is when I purchased a franchise of College Pro Painters, and I did it with solely intention of just finding a way to pay for school. I was one of these folks who paid his own way, but was also allergic to debt and did not want to take on any debt in the process. And so, finding new and exciting ways to make a buck as a young man was always necessary and important. And came across this paint houses thing and got involved in it. And little did I know that it would put me on a career trajectory that here now 30 some years later, uh, I'm almost come full circle, and been back into the home services world. Been in it for the majority of my career, but specifically now in painting as well as in window treatments and certainly around the home services world with Horsepower.
It sounds like a really nice journey and actually very entrepreneurial of you to do that when you're in your 20s. That's very impressive.
Well, it was necessity becomes the mother of invention at times, right?
Yeah. And can you explain what Horsepower Brands does?
You bet. Horsepower Brands is a portfolio company of nine different home services franchise brands. We're always looking to grow, but our nine brands focus around kind of surrounding the home. And we have things from HVAC to fencing to roofing to putting insulation in your walls and custom glass and lawn care and vanity lighting and custom lighting stuff like that. I happen to oversee our Groovy Hughes painting brand, which is you know both residential repaint and light commercial work, as well as Bumblebee Blinds, which does both residential and commercial window treatment, and window fashion.
Okay. No, that's great. And who are your ideal customers for the two brands that you are managing?
For being a franchisee or for in use customer.
Let's do both. Let's start with the franchisees.
Okay. Franchisees are, who we're looking for, I consider franchisees our customer. We exist to serve them as entrepreneurs and provide them, a game plan and support them in their entrepreneurial growth. But the ideal candidates to purchase a franchise are folks who have that entrepreneurial itch that needs to be scratched. They're looking for ways to serve folks in their communities and build big profitable operations. Big profitable businesses, serving folks in their communities, whether that be residentially and then commercially as well, for both of our brands that I work with. The ideal person would be somebody who is maybe at that spot where they have some opportunity to have access to capital, whether it be through savings or things getting financing and things of that nature, but they have that desire to build something, but they want to do so in a manner where they have a plan to follow and a support coaching structure there to help them achieve their goals and outcomes. It's not for people who've ever really necessarily had a hankering to be in painting or window fashion, although nothing wrong with that at all. But I often joke and say I've spent a long career turning bankers and engineers and accountants and you name it, as far as various folks into home services contractors,
Mm-hmm.
and they take their business acumen and their skill set and things they've acquired over the course of their career, and they're able to apply that uh, to the model, which we help them get started. And really, what I'm looking for, folks, is people who want to bring professionalism to traditionally some industries that maybe have lacked it, and
Hmm.
that's a real neat advantage.
Okay. So they don't have to be window treatment experts or painting experts at all.
I tell you what, I sure was no painting expert when I got started, although it was many, many years ago. And no, I was not a window treatment expert. We provide that kind of coaching and direction and skill you up there as far as for our folks we work with. As far as our end use customers, um, we're looking for folks, in the kind of upper middle income brackets who are traditionally higher out services done in their home. I've kind of hit that stage in life where it's like, you know what, I could go and paint the windows in the second story. No, I'm approaching 50 years old. I'm just not getting up on that ladder anymore. I don't want to do that. I don't need to do that. Now I'm going to hire somebody to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My wife,
Mhm.
you know, "Are you crazy. You're going to fall down. What are you doing?" So, that kind of thing. And folks who either don't have the time, the inclination, or the interest in doing it, but
Mhm.
yet want a quality result, they should call folks like either Groovy Hughes Painting or Bumblebee Blinds or any of our other brands here at Horsepower to deliver high quality services and an expected result on budget.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's great. And are there a lot of competitors?
In the home services space, yeah, there's a bunch. There's a bunch. I mean, there are national brands in home services franchising, pretty much in any category you name. There'll be some good respected brands. I've actually worked with some of them or for some of them over the course of the year. Um, but the thing about home services is our largest single competitor is Chuck in the Truck or Bucket Bob. It is the unaffiliated, local provider in, almost in any industry, and just the amalgamation of all these small independent folks that really make up the largest competitor, if you will. And because, and that's one of the benefits of home services is, um, it's such a fragmented industry that provide opportunities for people who are focused, bring professionalism, and have some business acumen can break into a market and build a nice opportunity for themselves.
Then from a customer perspective, I mean, going with you guys and like there's consistency, control, right? Whether some of those other smaller ones, you can't really guarantee that.
Yeah, I
So
think it's the benefit of large national brand with backing that goes with that,
yep.
but also coupled with the trusted local provider, somebody who's in your community.
Right.
And so, it's a local business owner who has skin in the game in the community that I think is, and it kind of bridges that gap and makes a lot of sense there.
What geographic areas do you cover?
The entire country,
Okay, good.
sea to sea, from north to south, east to west. We're adding franchises continuously.
What shifts and challenges are you seeing in the market right now, from inflation to changing consumer behavior? How has that impacted your brands?
Sure. I mean, well, in the home service industry overall, we saw a high watermark in like the end of 2020
Mm,
and 2021. That kind of like COVID wave where I think everybody got locked in their house for a couple of years, for a few months there, and like, okay, we got to change something about this joint.
right. Yeah.
And then there was also just a lot of government stimulus pumped in the economy. A lot of people were just flush with cash because they couldn't go anywhere or do anything. There was a lot
Hmm.
of government money just kind of pumped into the system, and people spent it on their homes. Um, and things of that nature. So we had a high watermark there, and it was crazy in the industry for a period. We've now come down off of that wave. We're experiencing, like in the commercial world, a bit of that wave, which is starting to kind of subside a little bit. Commercial generally kind of follows the residential side in a lot of our industries and stuff like that. And we're settling back down to what's kind of a more normal growth as opposed to these crazy spikes and dips and stuff like that. Um, as we go through the as interest rates start to kind of looks like they're coming down and things of that nature a little bit, we're going to see more housing activity go with moving and bouncing around stuff like that. Um, that will help drive a lot of new business and stuff like that. You move into a new place, you want to make it your own. Uh, you know, and so that's when you see things like the painting and the window treatments and stuff like that take place. But again, that's the one other nice thing about home services. whether the economy is up, down, or sideways, that may affect whether, where you go out to eat or what you do for a vacation or something of that nature. But for the folks who are in our kind of our target customer area, they don't stop spending on maintaining what's typically their largest asset, which is their home.
Right.
And then from a business standpoint, routine maintenance, maintaining your space, uh, things of that nature, are always part of every budget.
Hmm.
So then, it provides consistent levels of sustainable growth, especially for those who break into a market, establish themselves as a trusted local provider, and build a reputation as, someone either a residential or a commercial customer can trust. That they will deliver upon what they commit to. They will hit deadlines, hit targets, hit budgets, and things of that nature, and make it easy to work with them. And again, that's our focus with both Groovy Hughes and Bumblebee Blinds.
That makes sense. How about the amount of franchisees signing up? Have you noticed any changes with that?
Totally. Both of the brands I work with would be considered emerging brands.
Mm,
And so we are adding consistent, franchisees
good.
every quarter.
Wow.
Really almost every month. We're seeing month to month, but certainly every quarter we see the growth. Our Groovy Hughes franchise is, again, a real young emerging brand. We will double in size this year and then likely maybe come close to doubling again next
Wow.
year with the growth track that we're on as far as adding franchisees. Um, and things of that nature. And then, Bumblebee's a little bit further ahead. It's a little bit more mature, where we're, in a little over 50 some franchisees and still continuing to grow and add locations. We're even seeing some franchisees that are growing to scale where now they're like, okay, and I want to buy an additional territories and
Wow.
growing that way and things of that nature. So, we're seeing the businesses continue to grow. We're
That's
really excited about it.
fantastic. Congrats. Yeah. How are territories done? Is it like by mileage, or like how do you determine a territory?
Yeah. When we look at a geographic territory, and try to decide, okay, what is going to be a territory for a franchise? Uh, we typically do it by zip code, but also based upon the demographics within that zip code. Do we have the right amount of target customer base that can support that business both now and into the future?
And what's the key to balancing speed with sustainability?
Great question. I think it's a big challenge for any emerging brand. And, I joined Horsepower about a little over a year ago.
Mhm.
And, that was one of the things we were looking at is, okay, how do we make sure that we can balance our support with our growth
Yes.
and things of that nature? And also, sometimes when you grow really rapidly, it exposes lessons
Right.
and things that you have to make adjustments to and learn. And in these young emerging brand systems, there's a tremendous amount of learning. Sometimes it's learning by the hard way, but learning nonetheless. And then how do we adjust and pivot to meet the needs of the marketplace and our franchisees? Um, in as sustainable and as rapid a way as possible. It's one of the things that I spend most of my time thinking about. So we're always looking for ways to innovate. I'm always trying to look and say, what's coming down the pipe next? What type of tools or systems or processes would benefit the franchise, and brand as a whole, but also our franchisees in that mission of helping them run big sustainable businesses
Yeah, that's
and
that's good.
growing towards that.
Have you are you using AI or considered AI to help you with that?
I've jumped on the AI. I've been bitten by the AI bug and jumped on the AI bandwagon. Really, as my teenagers say, like old guy, I was a little skeptical of this whole AI thing. I kept thinking of like the Terminator and stuff like that. Uh, but as we've gotten into playing with some of the tools and leveraging it, I find different ways, whether it be use a Grok or Chat GPT, just within my own day to day type of stuff. Um, Leveraging that. But we're also, experimenting and actually doing pilots and tests within our business on things like AI based call centers
Mm,
and AI assistants for our franchisees to help make them more efficient. I'm seeing some really just cool results.
good.
I mean, sometimes when we're as part of the pilot group with our Bumblebee brand where we're testing out and trying to train, or we called it the robot. And we eventually gave her the robot the nickname Rosie, like Rosie the robot from the Jetsons. And so
Yeah.
we would have our Rosie training meetings about trying to train Rosie and how to respond to different questions and stuff like that to serve our customer, to handle it. And Rosie started to get really lifelike.
Wow.
And it's pretty neat, to see that kind of stuff. But we're also using, looking at ways to leverage AI and just how we do day-to-day business and things like, providing coaching to our franchisees and potentially their sales staff. We've leveraged software, that is AI-based where, that's hooked up to an AI note taker. So when they're on a consultation, providing a quote, to a, customer, they can hit this AI note taker and it's listening to what's going on as they're interacting with their customer, making sure that nothing is missed as far as the details and the interaction, so we can make sure we give them a thorough proposal. But in addition to that, it's also listening to how they do in their sales process.
Mhm.
And then what's really wild is now the AI can give them feedback on how they did on certain aspects of the sales process. And it also provides, their corporate support staff or support staff within the local franchise the ability to listen in on that interaction as well and provide additional layers of feedback. And not to mention giving the person actually doing the quote the most impactful ability to listen to themselves in third person and give themselves feedback against the model, leveraging those two different things. So we've seen that to be a really neat tool. And yeah, we're really excited about having franchisees and their staffs adopt the usages thing and lean into all the opportunities it provides them.
Yeah, I have my AI note taker follow me everywhere. I can't
Yeah,
I can't
I don't forget what we do without them, right?
Yeah, exactly. How about, what are you most proud of with Bumblebee blinds, Groovy Hughes, and horsepower brands in general?
Yeah. Um, thing I'm most proud about as I think through that, one is it's really fun to see our franchisees, the lights come on, they get it, or
Mhm.
they have that first aha moment, or then when they uh, land that first job. I got a Teams message from one of our franchisees in Florida the other day, uh, and he just shot me a Teams note. Said, "Hey, I was out putting out door hangers and stuff in a neighborhood for an hour and a half. It's all hot and sweaty. Sat back down in the car and got a message that an estimate I did yesterday booked
Nice,
with me."
nice.
So it was fun to celebrate that moment with him. I had another franchisee in Arizona, um, who, you know, went through a big struggle in his first year, getting stuff going, but now it's just taken off like a rocket. I mean, it's the lights have come on, it's clicking, and it is so wonderful to watch him have wild success. I mean, getting into the seventh digit inside of his first full year and stuff like that. Um, it's a lot of fun. He called me up when he had his first $100,000 sales week. Um, and it
Okay.
was just fun to have those moments with folks. Um, but what I think the thing I'm probably most proud of is the teams that we've built.
Mhm.
I think of our brand leaders, my two VPs of operation, Mark Eschenbacher with Groovy Hughes Painting, and his team of franchise business coaches, Mark and Nolan, and our uh, director of onboarding and training over there, Drew. Like watching that team really focus on the success of their franchisees, and they are leading with intention and empathy. They truly care about and take personal the success of their franchisees. I mean, the way they look at it is we make promises to, and commitments to these folks when they sign on board with our brands. We need to show up and be our best for them. And likewise, on our Bumblebee side, I think of Chris Willie, who's my VP of Ops over there, and Mary, who is our director of training and onboarding. She's a rising superstar. It's really fun to watch her move from a franchise business coach role now into this director role and flourishing, picking up new skills around training and design and stuff like that. And then we have a great group of coaches there. Andrew, who is a veteran who we're really excited about. Who we have uh, Brett and Barbara, who are other franchise business coaches, all with deep industry experience in the very niche world of window treatments, who likewise, like the Groovy team, I watch them really lean into and care about their franchisees and are constantly trying to focus on developing all their own skills so they can bring value to these folks and help our franchisees flourish as they, start up and then run and scale their businesses. So that's a lot of fun.
No, that's really nice, and I can tell you're very proud just by your face and the way that you're talking about them.
Yeah, I mean, I do love the folks I work with, and I exist to serve the folks I work with in that regard. My job is to help them win in their roles. Their job is to help the folks that they serve win in those roles. And so I mean, I think my chief responsibility is to try to model that as much as I'm able to. And that's one of the things I've always tried to hold myself accountable to. Is how do I role model servant leadership? And I've seen in that group almost to a person. All the other folks are, following the same thing.
I mean, everything you said, right, with just, like, the sales from your franchisees to, like, your team, it just makes you wanna join your team. So it's really, really nice to hear all that. On the flip side, what's been frustrating or difficult for growth and
I
scaling?
mean, boy, people and circumstance. I mean, if it's business. Like, it is just the day to day of stuff happening. You've probably seen those bumper stickers around. Happens.
Right.
True. It
Yeah.
does, and it will continue to. And one of the opportunities is as leaders that that when that stuff happens, it provides us the opportunity to serve those folks. And so I mean, it can be frustrating when you take two steps forward and a half a step back. It can get sometimes you have the black swan events, stuff you didn't expect to happen. Things happen. When I owned my own franchises, I certainly had them as well. I remember um, uh, having when I had my painting business back in the days of college, having some knucklehead who did something he wasn't supposed to do on a job. And I was away, got back and realized he painted about 27 cars with misty white paint.
Oh my
And
gosh. Jeez.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do with that? That was a rough day. You know, um, I've had production vehicles get wrecked, in car accidents and stuff when you don't want them to happen, when you run a business. Like,
Oh, man.
this sucks. Um, and I mean, those things will occur. What I have found over the course of my career, and as I get older, hopefully more wise as well. And I have a joke with our new franchise business owners and stuff about this. Your BS barometer gets calibrated over time. And when you're a new business owner, I would say to our franchisees, when you're new business owners, something's going to happen. Maybe it's that Sunday night, before a big job starts, and your manager, who's your subcontractor, your manager is going to be running that job, gives you a call and says, "Yeah, I'm not coming to work tomorrow." What do you do? Stuff like that.
Mm.
Which when your first year feels like a tragedy, and stuff like that. But as you go on and you live and experience running of a business, your BS barometer gets a little bit more calibrated. And I often joke with folks and say, in your third year, the same thing that could happen is in your first year, and your first year feels like a tragedy. And in your third year, it's just mildly irritating.
Mm.
Same
Okay.
exact thing. The only thing
Yeah.
that changed is you got wiser. You got better at adapting and pivoting to things. Your skin gets a little bit more callous. You're a little tougher, a little more gritty for it. And I think so. Sometimes those frustrating things we need to remember to be thankful for because it's strengthening us over time.
Yeah.
Resistance is what makes the muscle strong.
That's really great advice. I was gonna ask, how do you prepare for that? Is that more like a mindset or experience, or is there something else that you guide your franchisees to do?
I've had really good mentorship and
Mm.
coaches over the years
Yes.
uh, who can put things in perspective. And as you get things put into perspective, your mindset starts to change. You start to become a little wiser and things of that nature. So, uh, I didn't just wake up one day like this. I have to credit, a number of coaches and mentors that I've had who have influenced and helped shape me over the years. And then, it's kind of a way to pay it forward. I try to look for other folks that I can be that same person to, again, continue to pass that kind of stuff along.
Okay. No, that's true. Meetings are so important. As a business owner, what metrics are you looking at on a weekly or monthly basis?
Mm. Well, I'm looking at, when I'm thinking about like in the franchise world specific, I often have a lot of times they'll have like new owners and stuff who always ask me about, oh, geez, Jeremy, how do you know if someone's gonna make it, or how are we gonna do, and all that kind of stuff. And there's any number of different things that you can look at, but what I find is how do you boil things down into the most simple components. And so I call it kind of the core four plus plus one. The core four things I really look at when I'm evaluating how the business is doing is first is lead generation. Are they able to generate uh, opportunities, leads, and appointments and stuff uh, in line with their budget at the right times over the course of the year, especially like with potentially a seasonal business and stuff like that. Second thing I look at is their closing ratio,
Mm,
their ability to convert, you know, opportunities, proposals and given into jobs that are won. And so that is their ability to understand customers, listen to customers, meet those needs, problem solve with those customers, provide value based proposals that people say, "Yep, you're my person to do
yeah,
my window treatments and or my painting project," or whatever the case may be. But their ability to well, and so sometimes people go, "Oh, is that just a salesmanship?" No, it's really a measure of how well you are at understanding your customer and
yep,
matching that to value that you can
yep.
bring to problem solve. Third one that I look for is gross margin,
Mm,
your
mhm,
ability to both quote and then produce work at in a profitable manner at the prescribed and expected gross margin. So
mhm,
you have, the cash flow to, pay for next month's marketing, so to speak, next year's marketing, and, pay the commissions and pay all the various, overhead expenses and pay profit and things of that nature. So, are you able to bid in a way that is, hitting that and then also producing that way and be able to measure that as a core metric? And then fourth one, production capacity.
mm,
Do does the business have the right amount of people and right skill sets to deliver services on time, on target, and on budget? And are they able to anticipate that? Are they able to continuously have people ready to go? Because one of the worst things you can ever do is outsell your production capacity.
right,
Right?
right.
So how do we? Those would be the core four I look at. Kind of the plus one under that is, does the business owner have the ability to attract, bring on board, train and retain the appropriate staff at the appropriate times as their
Mhm,
business scales, and do so in not in a way in a time that is reactionary, but anticipatory.
mhm, yeah,
And understanding that, hey, when I get to a kind of a lever point in my business, I need to hire to unlock the next iteration of my business and make sure it's the right person, the right time, and the right seat on the bus.
yep. I mean, those are fantastic metrics. How do you measure that? Do the franchisees give that to you, or is there some system that collects it automatically?
Well, we're always working on, systems and measures and stuff like that. The goal is that you can be ambitiously lazy, and instead of spending a bunch of time number crunching, that you can, bring in systems that will automate as much of that for you as possible. But at times, I tell you what, there is value to sitting down and, we try to have a tool that I'm giving our franchisees where they, in 5 minutes a day,
Mm,
they are maintaining a thing that is giving them real real time at the end of every day results for their business, and be able to track gross margin and are they on track with sales metrics and stuff like that. And where
yeah,
you can just go and get your hands on the numbers a little bit and and understand what it's telling you and validate that stuff as you're putting these things into the tool, there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah. I mean, everyone should be tracking their metrics themselves, right? I mean, if they know their numbers, they'll do better in business. So, oh,
You
that's very,
cannot
very, very
manage, you can't manage, and you can't lead what isn't tracked or measured.
exactly. Exactly. No, those are very good metrics and very clear. Where do you want Bee Blinds and Groovy Hughes painting to be 6 to 12 months from now?
Oh, Bumblebee blinds and Groovy. Hughes, 6 to 12. Well, in 6 months, we will be kind of going into 2026. Um, we will have finished our business planning season for a new franchise, or for all of our franchise owners. They'll be kind of launching into the new year. I think it's about making sure that I'm always trying to think 1 to 3 years ahead and things of that nature. So, making sure that our folks are planned and prepped for the new year 6 months from now as we get into January timeframe, and ready to kick things off. A year from now, I would really love to see, both businesses be 2x in size, as far as our franchisee base. I'd like to see our franchisee growth uh, be appropriate for the size of the franchise. So making sure that franchisees are understanding what the goals that they're setting for themselves are in accordance with their um, financial desires and things of that nature. That's in alignment with our overall business objectives for the brand. But that we are then at that point working with that group to help them achieve their outcomes. And then as we do both of those things, we will need to bring on new folks into, whether it be Bumblebee or on the Groovy side, to then continue to support those franchisees appropriately.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best. I hope you get to 2x. That's a fantastic ambition. What's stopping you from getting there faster than a year from now?
Well, I think, I mean, us. I mean, quite frankly, I think it is, what's stopping you? Me. I think the idea is this, though: growth needs to be intentional. And,
Yes.
could we grow potentially faster? Sure. But at what potential cost to the
Mhm.
franchisee and to our end customer? And so I want to make sure that we can balance,
Yeah.
our growth with our ability to appropriately support the franchise owner, because then they can then, deliver value to their customers. And if
Yes.
we grow too fast and we outkick our coverage, well, now that's not a healthy spot. And so, trying to make sure that we're balancing those two things in alignment where it's sustainable, and a lot of that's to be able to attract the right people,
Yep.
whether it's the right people for the corporate teams, folks that align with the culture, folks that align with our values, franchise first, and, focusing on franchisee success and things of that nature, but as well as finding the right folks to be our franchise owners,
You're right.
and
Right.
making sure those folks align with the culture, making
Yes.
sure those folks are aligned with values
Hmm.
and things of that. And that's just as important as anything, because you're only as good as, in many cases, your worst franchise owner. Somebody who is out there operating without values. Well, that doesn't just hurt that franchise owner. That hurts the owners around them,
Yes.
because the
Yes.
customer doesn't necessarily recognize the
Right.
lines that we have on a map
Right.
and who's in charge of what line. So, making sure that we're attracting the right folks who will care about the brand, care about their neighbors,
Hmm.
and then operate with values. And then that rising tide will lift all boats.
One thing I learned when I started looking into franchising was it's like joining a family, right? It's not like a job.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're like joining a whole community that you're all part of and have to represent the brand. But like joining a family, that was a new concept for me. So
I tell you what, I couldn't agree more. It's fun. We actually have we have a group chat in our Bumblebee blinds uh, side of our business where the owners are all interacting, and it's fun to see owners will say, "Hey, I'm seeing this kind of anomaly or this weird thing, or I'm up against this challenge. Anybody got any thoughts?" And then you'll watch it, bing, 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 bing,
mhm.
bing. People from all over just say, "Hey, here's what I did when I saw this," or "Here, have you thought about this?" And the way that there is that collaboration, but just helping helping a family member out.
Yeah,
Uh, that kind of stuff in both of the brands I work with has been really neat to see, and it's fun to be a part of that, and just
No, that's
watch that
great.
organically start to take root is really neat.
And that proves that you've really built a nice culture. Right, everyone wants to help everyone out, so that's really nice. So you've mentioned that you've helped launch nearly 600 franchisees. And when I look on your LinkedIn, you have numerous incredible recommendations. Congratulations. What career moment stands out most to you?
Oh, man. You gotta go back and, cross memory lane and think about it. I first thing that pops in my head, from several years ago, and it's kinda tied to something personal. I think of a fella who I became dear friends with, who I coached when I was a franchise business coach. He was a franchisee named Bob. He and his wife, Kim, were in Hunterdon County in New Jersey, running a painting business. Bob was an accomplished executive at a chemical company and, decided to purchase a franchise and start this business up. And, you know, about 15 years older than I was at the time. And yeah, but we just clicked. He has a snarky sense of humor like I do, and we just clicked. And watching him go through that first year and helping coach him and shepherd him through that, um, one of the smartest guys I've ever met. But it was funny. We'd have our goal setting meeting, towards the beginning of each week. And then usually around Thursday, maybe it was every other Thursday, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, I get a call from him that first year. Like, hey, Bob, what's up, man? He always say, Jeremy, I just need to hear it's going to be okay. I was like, well, tell me about it. And so he'd tell me what everything is. So we talk, had to do an ad hoc kind of talk it through. At the end of the day, he just needed a, a a friend, a coach, somebody who cared enough about him, and having those moments with him, we got to be pretty close over the years, and Bob is just indicative of a number of the franchisees I call myself truly blessed to have built relationships over the years. I'm seeing these flood of faces kind of come across my mind right now,
Hmm.
but yeah, I remember it was a couple of years ago when my father passed away, and I wasn't even working at the same company with Bob anymore, but Bob had heard about it. And it was pretty touching when Bob Jamrog gave me a call, sends me this big working thing, and gives me a call. I was like, "Hey, dude, um, my turn to coach you now."
Hmm.
And he was there for me in that moment, which certainly touched me a lot. And forever be grateful for him and all the other people who reached out during that time. But you know, it's a two-way street. I think I've learned as much and taken as much away from, having the opportunity to interact with, all the folks over the course of these many years as hopefully they've gotten as much from me as I've gotten from them over the years. And I count myself really blessed to have had those relationships.
Yeah, no, that's a great story. Now, I mean, now I can see why you have so many great recommendations. A lot of it was related to that, like just you being a mentor and coach and how much you've had an impact on their lives. So that's congratulations.
It's probably the thing. If I have to be proud of something, I think I'd be most proud of that.
Yes.
It's certainly made for a wonderful journey and career. I'm
Yes.
very
No,
blessed to
that's
have had.
great. That's great. What would you tell your younger self if you were to start over again?
Oh boy, invest in more hair growth products. So, um, no, what would I tell myself? Younger 21 me, when I was starting a business, starting a franchise for the first time, say it'll be okay. Like just slow
Mm,
down and take advantage of these learning things. Save even more.
mm,
Save more. Um, like tell my kids all the time, like for every $2 you earn, save one of them. Prepare for that future. That compounding interest is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
right.
Um, so that kind of stuff early in the early days. Starting career, shut up and listen more. Yeah, shut up and listen more. You don't always have to have the right answer. Seek it from other folks. Learn. In those early, late 20s, early 30s. Take advantage of that time. You don't have to have all the stuff and do all the things. Go learn all the lessons. Be a sponge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Into kind of the mid 40s and stuff. Focus on what's most important. Get aligned with your purpose. because you're starting to hit your power years, your power curve.
Mhm.
You know, I was blessed to have a mentor that, gave me that advice. Actually, I have it right above your head on my whiteboard. It says, "My
Mhm.
purpose is to aid others in the discovery of and or pursuit of theirs." I see that every day. That's one of my guiding principles, is my algorithm I use to make decisions on what I get involved with in both personal and professional life. But getting aligned with that and making sure that you don't deviate and hold fast to that. And then, now as I'm about to turn 50 years old. It's hard to believe because I only look like I'm 24. I mean, I'm starting to, it's dawning on me. I'm starting to get into the swan song of my career. I'm in probably my last 15 here. The thing that it's really been on my head and, my heart a lot is, build things not just for what happens today. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I'm doing well in life. I'm gonna be fine with taking care of and stuff like that. But now it's kind of a neat opportunity where I'm getting to build something that will be here after
Mm.
I'm gone.
Mhm.
And inviting people to join in that, whether they be franchisees and helping build a brand that, heck, after both you and I are both retired now, this thing, it's still around and it's still serving people and creating opportunities for people. Um, that's pretty cool. And so that's probably the thing that, as I think about, there's a hit this time in my life, that's the advice I'm giving myself. What Stay centered on what you're building this for. And keeping, first things first, and you know, what's the purpose behind it, and being true to that. And getting and also being intentional about inviting others along to participate in that
Mhm.
journey.
Mhm.
Because it makes the rough days not so rough. Makes them worth it a lot of times, right? And it
Yeah.
makes the sweet days all the sweeter because you realize it's gonna be there for, the next generation afterwards as well.
Yeah. I love that answer. I mean, when I ask that question, most people just give one piece of advice, but you took it through the years, and it's so appropriate. So thank you for sharing that. That was really
Yeah,
nice.
maybe that's the advice, and also with this, if my younger self, is there will be seasons of life. Now that I can look back on, I can see the different seasons of life and the different things that have occurred, and just leaning into each one of those, knowing that there's going to be something new within each one, and there's growth that can occur in each one of those things. So being open to that and not being so stuck in being static.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you. And if people want to connect or learn more about your work, where's the best place for them to find you?
Oh, well, I am on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
My handle is, linkedin.com/n/Jeremy in, like Nebraska, Morgan.
Okay.
You can find me there. My email address where I can always be hit up at is jmorgan@horsepowerbrands.com. And welcome anybody to reach out. And if you have interest in learning about any of our brands at Horsepower, certainly be happy to chat with you about those. But in particular, certainly are my 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 two favorites, if I have them, are Bumblebee blinds and Groovy Hughes painting. I'd love to chat with you about those as well. If you have interest in learning about them, or maybe referring somebody to be part of that, or even to be a customer, we'd love to be chatting with you about that as well.
Okay. No, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. I really enjoyed our conversation and I learned so much from you. So thank you.
My pleasure. Appreciate you having me, and it's been nice chatting with you.
Great. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you got value, share it, tag us, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Catch you next time on the Ascend Growth AI podcast.